Hi everybody, welcome to my Community Needs Assessment. My name is Christina Wolf and I am a student here at UNE studying obesity and health promotion within the applied nutrition field. I hold a bachelor's degree in biological sciences and I am also a certified nutrition coach through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. Now for my Community Needs Assessment, my community of interest is African American children living in the state of Michigan between the ages of 2 and 19 who are obese. Who live with single mothers of low socioeconomic status, defined as at or below poverty line. Now, I'd just like to share a few childhood obesity statistics for Michigan. So, between the ages of 0 and 17, 32% of children are obese, which is just above the national average of childhood obesity. The highest prevalence of childhood obesity is among African American children, with 42% being obese. And this is experienced predominantly among lower income families with an average income of obese families about $25,000. 36.8% of obese families, like I said, live below the federal poverty line. And Michigan ranks 25th in the U.S. for overall childhood obesity prevalence. There are many well-known consequences of childhood obesity, many of which are psychological. So children who are obese tend to be bullied more, have poorer self-esteem, experience social isolation, depression, poor social skills, anxiety, and poor behavior or outcome choices. Now, children who are obese tend to stay obese into adulthood, as well as even gain more weight in adulthood. So this causes children who stay obese into adulthood to experience things like asthma, diabetes, gallstones, high cholesterol, heart disease, high blood pressure, liver problems, and even some cancers. And many of these are modifiable and preventable through dietary and behavior modifications. There are various influences on childhood obesity, and the leading causes are genetics, environment, and community of residence, poor diet, lack of physical activity, parental socioeconomic status, and family composition. Of those, the most influential was genetics and environment. So the leading influences of childhood obesity tend to be G/E interactions, or how their genetics interacts with their environment. So genetics may predispose children to obesity, such as having obese parents increases the risk of being obese, as well as some variants in genes may increase hunger and food intake. Now, family influence is that environmental component, the composition of families such as single versus dual parent households, as well as exposing children to the same environment as the parents, so same socioeconomic backgrounds, community, routines, diet, lifestyles, and behaviors. So like I mentioned, family influences play a major role in the development of obesity. So as for composition, single mothers tend to significantly increase the risk of children developing obesity. Single mother households have also significantly increased in the U.S. from 3 million to 10 million. Black women lead these statistics, with 47% being single mothers. Single mothers impose many barriers to health, such as balancing numerous responsibilities, including work, increased time demands, less meals together, increased takeout meals, and limited financial resources. Children of single mothers also tend to consume more total fat, more saturated fat, and increased sugar-sweetened beverages, as well as watch more TV. Poverty has also been consistently linked to single-parent households, especially when headed by single women. Now, family influence includes family socioeconomic status. So 1 in 5 U.S. children live below the federal poverty line, and they are 1.6 times more likely to be obese, living below that poverty line. Poverty is consistently linked to single parenthood, especially single mothers, and children with single mothers are more likely to have higher BMIs. And the highest rates of single motherhood have been observed among African American mothers. Now, this chart right here shows a comparison between different ethnic and racial groups, the percentage of children among each that live with single parents and that are overweight. And you can see very clearly that the highest rates of both are experienced among Black children. Now, if we apply all of these statistics, The population that ultimately faces the highest health disparities and greatest obesity influence are low-income African American children living with single mothers. Now, some primary findings of my community needs assessment. So, negative environmental disparities faced by children of low socioeconomic status with single mothers often are influenced by the community of residents which they live in. So this includes traffic, poor public transportation, lack of personal transportation, lack of green space to be physically active, safety concerns, lack of access to healthy foods, dirtiness, and crime. And many of these low-income neighborhoods are food deserts, meaning they lack access to adequate amounts of healthy, nutritious foods. So healthy food in these neighborhoods is scarce, and unhealthy food is found everywhere. Predominantly low-income African American communities are within food deserts, and stores often are more than a mile away in the poorest communities in Michigan and house poor quality foods. So the residents of these communities often have to travel great distances to retrieve healthier foods, which often involves multiple rides on public transportation. By that time, they've already passed many fast food options, which often makes fast food the default in these communities. Now, related to food deserts is food insecurity. Food insecurity can be defined as a lack of consistent access to enough food to live a healthy and active lifestyle. So in Michigan, 1 in 7 families are food insecure. And the most food insecure communities are low-income, predominantly African American communities. So for example, in Detroit, 19 neighborhoods are food insecure, mostly low-income African American communities. And another influence of obesity within these communities are barriers to activity. So in Michigan, about 25% of children are physically active and meet the 60-minute requirement for physical activity. However, 14% are physically inactive, and almost 30% watch TV for 3 or more hours a day. Now, there are some current initiatives and programs within Michigan that aim to combat childhood obesity and increase the health of these low-income children. Many are school-focused interventions, which target schools as a way to provide nutritious meals to children. Some of these programs are the Michigan Nutrition, Physical Activity, and Obesity Program, which is an organization which outreaches its resources to help other organizations provide nutrients and food and physical activity programs to children. Mighty Meals is a program which provides nutritious foods to kids. They package foods and they are available for pickup in multi-day packages. And YMCA Healthy Out of School program is a summertime program which provides kids with a kind of like a daycare where they can receive nutritious foods and opportunities to be active. However, there are some gaps within these current services, and a major one is transportation. So 43% of low-income African American families cannot afford transportation. Public transportation is not always accessible, it's not always affordable, and it's not always safe. The distances to services may be too far to walk or bike and present some safety issues. And in low-income parents, single moms specifically, they may work long hours and are not available to transport their kid to the service that's being offered. The other major gap is the time limits of services. So a major flaw is weekends and summer times. Many students count on these meals provided at school to have lunch and have breakfast. Many go hungry without them. So food insecurity increases when children are out of school, and the current pandemic, as we know, closed schools. So many children, food insecurity tripled for them. And 30% of families in Michigan are facing food insecurity, and Black families are 2 times more likely to be facing food insecurity. Now, I have proposed an intervention to address these unmet needs. So as for transportation, I would suggest modifying the YMCA program to include free transportation for all of its participants. So the public bus can pick up children from their homes or from a safe, secure bus stop and take them to the program and return them home. This will allow all children to participate regardless of their income or their parental issues or transportation status. I would also suggest modifying the grocery bill store to address free nutritious meals year round. So this bill increases the funding to local grocery stores to provide more and more quality nutritious foods. So this program could provide daily boxes of packaged nutritious foods for breakfast, lunch, and dinner to be sent home with the YMCA participants, or even delivered to children's homes 365 days a year. These can even include multiple day packages to ensure that children are receiving adequate nutritious meals and are not going hungry at all. By partnering these two initiatives together, the financial and transportation burdens are lightened from low-income families, and children are receiving complete access to healthy foods year-round, physical activity opportunities, as well as social engagement, all of which are crucial to fighting and combating the rising childhood obesity statistics within this low-income, single-parent African American community, and ultimately increasing the health of Michigan children. Thank you.